Welcome back to Have a Day podcast. I'm your host, Brian McRae, and be sure to check us out on all our social media outlets, Instagram and the YouTube channel at Have a Day Podcast. Today, my guest is a good friend of mine, go back many, many years. Bill Althaus. Althaus is a journalist, writer, podcaster now, and as a young kid, was a big collector. We'll get to some of that also.
Sure.
In the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, just got inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame this past winter. 50 years in the Kansas City area, and most of you may know him from covering a lot of the high school events in Eastern Jackson County. So Independence, Blue Springs, Lee Summit, Fort Osage, all those schools in the area. You've probably seen Bill at some point in time on the sidelines or in the press box there. So Bill, thank you for joining us, and I appreciate you coming on the show. And it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, man. I mean, I covered Brian when he was at Blue Springs High School. He never played baseball there because his family would move back down to Florida for baseball. But he was the premier defensive back in the metro area, and had that scholarship to KU, and then things took a little bit of a different turn.
Yeah, I picked a safer sport, and I think it worked out okay.
I think so.
All right, we're going to start off, and we're just going to do a quick five, and usually we used to do like try to go 5 for 5 like a baseball terms, where I'd do some trivia.
Yeah.
But this is just with you on the show. I wanted to do something a little bit different, and just 5 things from your journey, being a journalist and being a sports fan here in Kansas City, and growing up here, went to Truman High School. Things that stand out. So, number one, what's been your favorite interview so far?
In 1989, Muhammad Ali came to Kansas City, and he was promoting his cologne. And, Brian, this will show you how things have changed over the years. I spent the whole day with Muhammad Ali. Went in his limousine, I think, to a Penny's out at the Blue Ridge Mall. And his Parkinson's hadn't quite taken over his body as it did in his latter years. But he's doing magic tricks for me, and just, it was phenomenal. And, at that time, I think he was probably the most recognized person sports-wise in the world. And that's the thing I love so much about my job. Number one, the friendships that I created. I've got so many friends who are 30, 40, 50 years younger than I am because I've known them since high school, and, and getting to meet someone like Ali.
Okay, the second question is, what's the best sporting event you covered as a journalist?
Oh, definitely the World Series and the playoffs. But if I had to pick one game, it would be Game 6 of the 1985 World Series. 1-0 going into the bottom of the ninth. And Dane Orge, who, as far as I'm concerned, got the biggest hit in the history of the team because he has a 2-run single. And I was talking to your dad after that, and your dad had some great comments. They're down 3-1, just like they were to Toronto in the playoffs. And he goes, we've got those SOBs right where we want them. And
the Cardinals were already playing in a celebration.
Well, they had the champagne, and that pissed the Royals off, seeing them bring all the champagne into the visitors' locker room. And Orge got that hit, and he always called me Althauser. He came up to me and goes, "Hey, Althauser, I told you we had them right where we wanted." Moments like that you never forget.
Yeah, that was a special team. My dad says that out of the teams that went to the playoffs with Royals, and they went 76, 77, 78.
78, then 80.
81.
One with the split season.
And 84. And 85.
When the Tigers were maybe
the Tigers
one of the greatest teams
outstanding,
ever.
Yeah. He said that was probably the worst of the best teams they had.
Dude.
And they won the World Series.
How did that 77 team not just smoke everybody?
Because the Yankees were pretty solid.
I remember talking to George back then, and he goes, if we just had a reliever, we're bringing Dennis Leonard and Paul Splittorff in the save.
Rich Gale, guys like that in the save games. But
I know.
Yeah, that it would have been a different era here with they probably should have won 2 or 3 more championships.
Well, they get quizzed, and what happens? They go to the World Series the first year he's in town.
Okay, number 3 here. We'll switch it over to concerts and bands.
Oh, yes.
The band you have seen the most in concert?
Elton John.
Elton John.
I've seen him about 40 times. Now, that's dating back to 1971. And
what's so special about Elton John to you?
He's just my favorite musician. He's always had the same guys in his band early on, and then he got some new people later on. But his flamboyancy, back when I saw him the first time, he's doing backflips off his piano. Now
he can't move.
I know I saw his farewell tour twice as it came here, and it ends with him getting in one of those chairs that takes you up the stairs, and I'm like, wow, how things have changed. That was a great one.
Okay, number 4. Is it true, because I think we talked about this some time ago, that you used to send letters to either the widows or the old Hall of Famers and, to their houses to, number one, just to say how much you admired them.
Right.
And if they had, if it was a widow, if they had something in their possession of their husband to send to you, something signed or just something from their career, and that you had a lot of correspondence with old-time players and their widows.
Oh, I've got letters from all the old guys that, they'd always send you a Hall of Fame plaque card. And then if you ask questions in your letter, they'd usually answer it on the back of those cards. And my dad was a supervisor at the gas service company, and his secretary was Mary Gottschall. Her dad was Zach Wheat, who retired in 1918 with the Brooklyn Dodgers. He remained in New York, and he and Babe Ruth became pretty close. So among all the old Hall of Famers, Bill Dickey, Jackie Robinson, Joe DiMaggio, all of them, they had addresses for deceased Hall of Famers whose wives or families still came to the induction in Cooperstown. So I wrote a letter to Claire Ruth, told her about my collection, how I dreamed to have something signed by Babe. And she answered me immediately, but she sent me a nice little photo of Babe and said, we have nothing left. Over the years, we've sent everything out. So I just sat down, wrote her a 3-page letter, sent it to her, didn't ask for anything, just said what it meant to me to have her return my first correspondence. About 2-3 weeks later, come home from school. I was 13 years old. And my mom greets me at the door and said, you've got a letter from New York. And she said, it's not your little pigeon scratch writing. It's almost like calligraphy. Well, she had beautiful handwriting. I open it up, and there's a check Babe made out to Claire in 1948, the year he died of cancer, when he was too ill to get her a Christmas present or a birthday present. And G.H. Ruth, that's how he signed, Babe Ruth on the side of the check, made out to Mrs. Claire Ruth, and then on the back she signed it. Wow. And she sent me a note, and she goes, I know this will be a part of your collection forever, and I'm happy to send it to you.
Wow,
that was a pretty cool day.
That's pretty special. At 13 years old.
13 years old. Then when I was a little bit older, I read in the paper that Jackie Robinson was ill with diabetes and was in the hospital. So my mom and I went out and bought him a card, and I just had the address, or the hospital. So I called the hospital, got the address, wrote him a card, and I expected nothing back, and he sent me a letter. How much my card meant to him. And in 2012, when the All-Star game was here, his daughter Rachel was in town, and I took that letter down and showed it to her at the Negro League Museum. And she started crying, and she goes, my sister and I, when we were young, we always wondered why Daddy spent so much time at his desk answering correspondence. She goes, And now we know. I mean, you know, I've had that letter since I was 14, 15 years old.
Wow.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's fun. Heard from Ty Cobb's daughter, Eddie Collins' wife, Walter Johnson's wife or daughter. And, you know, they would send me like a clip off a check or something. It was just, those were some fun
cool
times, man, for a 13, 14-year-old.
Yeah, that's probably not happening nowadays.
I know.
Okay, and the fifth one was, this was one that you may have to think about a little bit, and it's men's and women, male and female. The best high school player you covered, male and female.
Yeah. It's interesting you would ask that because the Examiner just finished running top 25 athletes of the 21st century. And in that poll, Jacob Mizorowski, who went to Green Valley High School and had that phenomenal season last year for the Milwaukee Brewers, and the female, Paige Parker, who was a two-time Gatorade softball player of the year from Truman High School. And what she has done is remarkable. Won 2 national championships at Oklahoma, went and played professionally for a while, and now she's a college coach. But from my era, you know, I covered them, but that was later in my career. There's so many multiple sport athletes. Kid named Cole Keller, who went to Green Valley, was our player of the year in football, our player of the year in baseball, and he was the heart and soul, the only kid that could play basketball on the basketball team. But since he was going to college in football, the editor said, look, he can't get everything. So he didn't get that, but he was a stallion. Skylar Thompson, probably. You know, what that kid did in the state championship game in 2015.
He went to Fort Osage, right?
Went to Fort Osage, right. Then went on and had a injury-plagued but very good career at K-State, and he's now with the Pittsburgh Steelers as a backup. But they were the little engine that could. Their kryptonite was Staley High School. And they finally beat Staley in 2015, and Skylar threw for 4 touchdown passes in the game, rushed for 3, accounted for over 700 yards, and I think that record's been broken now. But that was fun. Of the females, Grace Slaughter, who graduated from Green Valley, is now really one of the faces of the SEC. She's the leading scorer for Missouri. Had a little bit of a struggle, but still averaged 10 points a game her freshman year. And this year has a new coach who's using Grace the same way Randy Draper used her at Green Valley. And, you know, in a couple of years, we're going to see her be playing in the WNBA. So those would be my 2.
Okay. All right. Now, you spent a lot of time covering high school in the area. You mentioned Green Valley a few times. You mentioned Fort Osage. Mm-hmm. When I was there in the mid-'80s, Green Valley was nothing.
No.
Fort Osage was so-so.
Yeah.
You didn't even consider Oak Grove.
No.
And some of those. Talk about what you've seen in the progression.
Yes.
And, at least Summit only had one school at the time.
That's right. Now they have North and West.
The things that you've seen,
yeah,
and how high school sports has blossomed, and the D1 athletes and the good athletes that have been coming out of Eastern Jackson County.
That's a great question because people ask me all the time the biggest changes I've seen. And when I first joined the Examiner in '82, all I did was cover the Royals and the Chiefs, and we had the NBA back then,
right?
Kansas City Kings. So when I started covering sports, probably high school sports in about '88, '89, I was the beat writer for the Royals. I was out there every day, made a few trips, went to spring training. Same thing with the Chiefs when they were practicing up at William Jewell, and made a few trips with them. But this high school scene has just exploded. I know people who they'll call me and they say, what's the big game this Friday? Well, Blue Springs South. There was no Blue Springs South when you were there.
Right, because when people ask me, it's like, what school did you go to? I was like, there's only one school in Blue Springs. The original.
That's right, man. It's not Blue Springs North.
It's Blue Springs.
Blue Springs High School. When I started at the Examiner, girls didn't even have sports. Some schools had a gymnastic team, but there was no basketball, there was no softball, track and field. And I remember when girls basketball started in high school, and you'd go to a game and some of the girls would be dribbling it like this. I mean, it was worse than something you'd see in your backyard patio with a hoop up there. My God, Brian, now Eastern Jackson County is the hotbed for volleyball. So many D1 girls have come out of Eastern Jackson County. Softball.
I remember the big sport for women was swimming, because they had that facility on
23rd
right across the street
Street
from Blue Springs.
Right, yeah.
So that's all I knew about anything girls or women's sports in high school. The best athletes were swimmers.
Oh, yeah, and gymnasts.
And gymnasts, yeah.
Young lady named Taryn Humphrey went to Odessa High School, but she trained at Gage Center in Blue Springs. And in 2004, it's so cool, when the Olympics were in Greece, she won an individual medal on the vault and won the team silver medal. And I asked her one time, do people even know who you are? And they had a parade where they drove her through downtown and had an assembly. And she goes, I never signed an autograph or talked to anybody about gymnastics until that day. And she goes, now, hey, can I have your autograph? Well, can't be late for class, And off she went. She was on that amazing tour afterwards. She was on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, sat next to Nicolas Cage at the premiere of, I think, National Treasure, but I'm not sure. But I've known her since she was 8 years old. And one of my favorite stories, when Truman has always struggled. It's so sad. I think they've got a coach now that is really going to help them turn around. But I went out to interview him for a preview story, coming off an 0-10 record. And this guy's a firecracker. And he goes, look, Bill, if you want to talk to the athletes, go over and talk to them. And it was the cheerleaders, So, and cheer is huge out in Eastern Jackson County. So, my gosh, the gauntlet of great female athletes in track and field, in, oh my goodness, basketball, saw everything. There's just so many who have made an impact. And, I'm 72, and it's tough waiting 2.5 hours to get out of a Chiefs game. I still try to make it out to the Royals, and I'm a lifetime member of the Baseball Writers Association because I was a past president in Kansas City. So I can go to any game I want. And I went out to the game where your dad and the 1985 team was honored for their anniversary. And wow, man, I mean, those are the guys I ran around with because I was their age. They went to my wedding. I went to their weddings. And that was fun seeing those guys. But, as far as it goes for the girls, if you don't understand what I'm saying, the impact they make, go and see a Green Valley game. Go and see a Blue Springs High School game. Mark Spigarelli, the coach at Blue Springs, member of the Coaches Hall of Fame, and he was an assistant coach on that, I think it's still the McDonald's Prep All-American game.
Yeah, McDonald's All-American. Yep.
Because he had a player on there who had left Blue Springs and went out to a basketball academy in Hollywood, California, somewhere around in there. And he got to coach her, and that was really special for him. Softball, they have an annual all-star game at the Royals Academy there right next to the Negro League Museum. half the girls are from Eastern Jackson County, and all the starters are. It's phenomenal. And then track and field, so many great players. On the girls' side at Blue Springs High School, Jennifer Reeder is the coach, and I believe she's brought home a trophy 8 consecutive years. It's just, and then the boys back in 2012 and 2013 when they had the Davis twins, who are both now in the NFL. One got drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, the other by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and his 1 year there got a Super Bowl ring. But he said the greatest thrill was when Tom Brady walked by his locker one time, patted him on his shoulder. He goes, "How you doing, kid?" He goes, "I know he didn't know my name, but at least he
recognized
yeah,
something."
That's right. That's right. So that was awesome. But, yeah, high school sports are really special now.
Getting back to your coverage of the Chiefs and the Royals and the Kings a little bit, the relationships that you forged, this is a different time. And talking with Frank Ball on one of our other my other podcasts, it's like you hung out with those guys.
Yep.
You said you went to the wedding. You were with them a lot off the field. You spent time with them.
Yep.
You knew their families. Their families were comfortable with you.
Yep.
Things like that. Those relationships don't happen anymore.
No. The chance for me to ever sit down and do an interview with Patrick Mahomes, zero. I might as well try to get an interview with the Pope. It's just not good. Now, he greets or meets with the media on Thursdays. And, that started when Joe Montana came here because there were so many requests for him that they just had everybody come on a Thursday and take care of it all at once. Back then the locker room was open, I believe, like at 2:30. And I'd just come out and, your dad and George lockered next to each other. I'd just sit and listen to them. And oh my God, George, greatest player in the history of the Royals. Hal McRae, greatest leader in the history of the Royals. What Hal said went. And I'll never forget one time he had one of the clubhouse kids roll up the big laundry cart in front of Bo Jackson's locker. And Bo was hurt quite a bit his first year. And Hal gets out, and he's not holding a gun. "You're not worth anything to us if you're injured all the time. Boom, boom, boom." And I'm like, oh, my God, Bo could rip Hal in two. But Bo just laughed. And, remember Hal telling me, I learned how to play the game from Pete Rose when he was with the Reds. And then George told me I learned how to play the game from Hal.
Because the Royals were similar to the Reds.
Oh, totally. And, talking earlier, they could have been one of the real honest-to-God dynasties had it not been for the Yankees and the fact that they didn't have a solid bullpen. But those years were so special. RJ down at Dos Hombres, we'd always go down there in Brookside after a game, and it changed so much now. It's just so staid and kind of sterile, and you can be in the locker room, I think, 20 or 40 minutes. I'm not sure. And it's a designated time. You walk in there, nobody's in there,
They have all kind of special rooms.
Oh, I know, man.
You don't see guys hanging out, eating by their lockers or any of that anymore.
It used to be they get pizzas from Tim's Pizza, and Tim would deliver them from there in Independence. And then it's just a bunch of hot dogs and stuff. And now they eat the same thing that the folks were eating back when they had the Crown Club out there. These guys are eating good, and it's I tell you what Ned Yost did with those kids and the way he raised them up through a 100-loss season to where they made the World Series in 2014, lost to Madison Baumgartner. I think that's the greatest World Series any pitcher has ever had. And then to win it the next year, oh, my God, it was amazing. I heard somebody talking on TV the other day about they attended a sporting event and that the sound of the crowd almost knocked them over. Well, I was in an auxiliary press box out in left field, and Jeremy Guthrie was warming up, in the 2014 wild card game when Salvi delivered the game-winning hit. And I was talking to him after the game, and he said, I've never been in the bullpen in a moment like that. You know, I've always been in the dugout. And he said it was just like tidal waves. Boom, boom, rushing over you. You couldn't talk to the person sitting next to you. And that's the craziest, wildest moment I've ever experienced at any sporting event.
Yeah, I think the loudest moments I've experienced there were Salvi's hit.
Yep.
In the wild card,
yep.
and then Alex Gordon's home run.
The home run, game 1 of 2015. You know, man, and that got Hosmer off the hook because he had a big error in that game. And then he wound up with the game-winning sacrifice fly to win the game. And I was talking to Alex after the game, and he goes, yeah, I had to get Hosmer off the hook there, And if you see when he's running down first base with his arm in the air, Hosmer's in the background, just down on the ground, just sobbing. He's so happy. So what great memories.
Yeah, after almost, 20-some-odd years of bad ball. My last year here was 94.
Okay.
And then the strike year of 94. And,
right.
We had some decent teams, 93, 94.
Yeah.
And then after the strike, it wasn't.
Oh, my God.
They had a little bit of resurgence in 03.
Yeah.
But that was kind of, most people just attribute that to luck and not, they weren't
true.
really that good. They played some meaningful games late in the season, made some trades. But really, after the strike year, they didn't do anything until 13. They started getting better, and then
13 was kind of the creation of that 7th, 8th, and 9th, a different pitcher each inning. 14 and 15, they went into the 7th inning with the lead 78 times. Never lost one of those games.
I don't think we'll ever see anything like that.
No, I don't think so, ever. It started with Holland, then he got hurt, and Wade Davis, who was just a bust coming here as a starter, I would get chills, man. When he would come in, it was like the Terminator.
The game was over.
Knew it was over.
Yeah. And I think the other teams felt it. They built up such a reputation of being able to close out games that it was a race to the 6th.
Yep. Yeah.
And then if you didn't get the Royals by the 6th inning, 7th, 8th, and 9th,
it's over.
They were lights out. And that was almost as automatic as anything in this city, sports-wise. When you got to the 7th inning with the lead,
I know it.
It was over.
Oh, man. And then all the craziness of down 7-2 against Houston. And Mike Moustakas was in the class that I was recently inducted in at the Hall of Fame. And I told him I'll never forget the camera sweeping the dugout, and he's just pounding guys on the legs and slapping their helmets. And he goes, we weren't going to lose that game. And he made sure they didn't. That was almost as crazy as the wild card game. But that wild card game was insane.
Yeah, the thing about the wild card game is a lot of people left.
Oh, I'd have left if it would have been a regular season game. Yeah.
Ventura comes in, gives up the home run to Donaldson, was it?
Yep.
And then a lot of people start leaving.
Yeah.
My daughter left. I walked her and my ex-wife out to the car. They left at that time, and I was doing some broadcast work, so I stayed. Yeah. But there was a good amount of people that had already left.
Totally.
And missed one of the best innings that they're ever going to see.
Well, and John Lester started that game, and he and Christy Mathewson had the lowest ERAs, the highest win percentage. Now, with Christie, it was just World Series. But, with John, with, all the playoff games and everything, you got John Lester on the mound with that big lead, and it's just like, and they just kept chipping away. One of the guys that has really been overlooked in the history of this team, Christian Colon got the hit and eventually scored the winning run in the wild card game. And then he drove in the winning run the next year in Game 5 of the World Series. But they went on and scored 3 or 4 more runs, so they don't really remember that. But I think if they would have won that last game by just 1 run, that Wade Davis would have been the MVP of the World Series.
So you think had a bigger hit than Christian Colon or Orge?
Orge, because It's over. You don't
it was
get that
over,
World
yeah.
Series. But Cologne, as much as I wanted the series to come back, but the Mets, with that starting pitching staff they had, you never know. But my God, what Johnny Cueto did with his one hitter, and he was the only starter, I think, that won a game. The Chris Young won one from the bullpen, and just the coolest thing about that was it's the little hometown Kansas City Royals against the Mets. I mean, it's David against Goliath. And for them to win that 4-1 games, that was amazing.
Well, for them to go back to back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because that's hard to do at any level, and lose the way they did in Game 7.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And the Giants had their run of winning every other year, and
I know
10, 12, and 14. That little mini dynasty that they had there. But to go to 7 games against the Giants, and then come back to next year and be able to repeat and get back to the World Series, because those playoff series, if you look at all those series, those 2 years, they were all nail biters. They could have lost those series.
Oh, easily. And what made it so much fun was those 2 teams made baseball relevant again in Kansas City. And my wife, Stacy, she's, next time you go to the stadium, get me the newest T-shirt, I mean, she wanted to represent the Royals, and so much fun.
Yeah, the 14-15 team, if those things don't happen, we may not be talking about a new stadium.
I agree. I know. What do you think about that? Can you believe how long it's taken?
Living in Kansas City for as long as I have.
Sure, yeah.
Yes, I can.
Yes.
And, I think that selfishly, me being downtown, I would like them to be downtown, and at some point in time, hopefully soon, they'll make that decision. But this whole process has been a mess.
Not a good look for the Royals.
No, not at all. And we talked a lot. We're talking a lot about the Royals, but you also covered the Chiefs.
Oh yeah,
and the Marty years with the Chiefs. How much fun was that? Covering those teams and those characters on that team, and then to go into, they were the winning team in the 90s, but couldn't get anything done in the playoffs.
Marty's up for the Hall of Fame this year, and gosh, I'd love to see him get in, but John Elway. I mean, when he was at Cleveland and when he was at Kansas City, John Elway kept him out of 2 Super Bowls. But those two, you talk about characters, how things have changed. Steve DeBerg and Will Smith used to have Halloween contests as who could decorate their locker the best. Derek Thomas always had some of his buddies in there playing dominoes. And my God, if there's somebody in there that's not a part of the team now, that ain't going to fly. Derek Thomas, head and shoulders, the greatest defensive player I ever saw. I saw Lawrence Taylor play twice, so that may not be fair. But the 7-sack game against Seattle, where Dave Craig just eluded him and threw the game-winning touchdown pass at the end of the game, Derek was just inconsolable in there, I mean, heart and soul, and that one was tough. The crazy playoff game against Indianapolis, where Peyton Manning, at that moment, I considered him up to that point to be the greatest quarterback I'd ever seen. The press box back then was enclosed, and I couldn't talk to the person sitting next to me in an enclosed press box. It was so loud. And Dante Hall had the big touchdown return on a punt to get him back within 1 game, and I believe Indianapolis scored on every possession, and the Chiefs scored on all but one, and that, turned out
that was the game.
That was it. Yeah, that was it. Fun memories.
You covered the Kings for a little bit.
Oh, that was
also
fun. Yeah.
The NBA, short-lived here in Kansas City. I think if Kemper Arena would have been out in the complex, we may have all 4 sports still in Kansas City.
Also had hockey.
Yeah, we had hockey for a little bit.
Sure.
How were the Kings in at that time period?
Cotton Fitzsimmons was their coach, and he was a character, man. He had so much fun. He loved talking to the media and was so gracious with his time. And one year, they played the Rockets to go to the championship. And, oh my gosh, Clyde Drexler just took it over Hakeem Olajuwon. And they didn't make it, but they were fun to cover when Magic Johnson and Kareem came to town, when Larry Bird came to town, and when Dr. J came to town. You couldn't fit another person in there, automatic sellouts. Then the Utah Jazz would come, and there'd be 4,000 people in there. And, you know, they just couldn't maintain that and moved out to Sacramento. But they leave in 1980, following the 84 season, Michael Jordan's rookie year. The way the NBA took off after that was
because he only played here once, probably.
Once,
yeah,
one time. You know, and it was so funny because I was in the locker room and Danny Manning came in, and at that time Danny was right here with Jordan. I mean, Danny was the greatest high or college player, and Jordan, you know, would soon become Air Jordan. And it was funny watching those two guys talk, and two young guys on the verge of greatness. And yeah, he just played here one time, and thanks to you, we got to see him play in Chicago when you had tickets and invited us out to see them play. And it was remarkable. But you know, I saw Pistol Pete play like 6 times. And just go to YouTube and type in Pistol Pete Maravich highlights. That guy he scored 66 in college without a 3-point line, and
made it look easy.
And most of his shots were from the perimeter. So yeah, the great memories of the NBA. I don't follow it as much now. I just don't really have an interest in it. If Steph Curry and the Warriors are on, I'll watch them. I love that guy.
And then the hockey team was here before.
It was when I was in college.
You were in college.
Yeah, so I never.
They left in the late 70s.
Yes.
Yeah, they were here for two or 3 years.
Right.
You cover the Blades, any?
No, didn't cover the Blades. I tell you what, I'm having a blast right now doing is covering the soccer team, the Comets. 1980, the day Lamar Hunt fired everybody in the front office and the coaching staff was the day the Comets drew 18,000 people at Kemper, and the Chiefs played that same day and drew 12,000. He'd had enough. The Comets are back. They're out at Cable Dahmer Arena in Independence, lead the league in everything, scoring, winningest goalkeeper, assists, game-winning goals. They're fun. I'm not a big outdoor soccer fan. Right. I'll admit that right now. Indoor soccer is the thing right now. I've got a lot of good friends, these young kids from Brazil that are on the team, and Stacy and I've kind of adopted a few of them, and we do some things together. And then the Kansas City Mavericks, the ECHL hockey team, it's if you want to compare it to baseball AA hockey, they have this monster lead in points, like 10 points over their next opponent. And that's in the league. I mean, it's even bigger against their next opponent.
They're affiliated now. They weren't affiliated for a while.
With the Seattle Kraken.
They're with the Kraken.
And
now.
They love that affiliation. I mean, Coach Tato we had some conversations early, and they'd had some affiliations that just didn't work out.
Right.
They're
almost like a co-op team for a while.
Exactly. And I don't know how you coach this team. You got Alex Gordon and you got Salvi, you got Moustakas, all these guys at AAA. They get good and they're gone. Well, that's what it's like at this level. Their top goalkeeper or goaltender is now playing for the Coachella Valley Firebirds, and that's AAA. So he's one step away now from the NHL. And they've had one guy, Chad Vandegrift, that has won 2 championships, 2 Stanley Cups with the Florida team, Florida Panthers. So, they've been here 16 years, and one guy has made a real impact in in the NHL, but it's always fun to say, hey, look what that guy did. Don't give up.
And it's a good family friendly.
Oh.
You talk about the indoor soccer.
Yes.
And
yes.
minor league hockey. They do a lot for the kids, and the sport has grown, especially hockey around here. There's a couple more sheets of ice now that weren't here. My daughter was an ice skater.
Last time I saw your daughter was when you were taking her off the ice.
And there was only maybe 2 or 3 sheets of ice in this region. And now there's 8.
Yes.
I think they just built that something out south in Overland Park where there's 2 or 3 sheets of ice.
And Lamar Hunt is building a place that I think is pretty close to where the Chiefs are going to be playing. But
high schools have some hockey now here in this area.
They do. In fact, this is crazy. You know, I mean, Wayne Gretzky didn't live at home from the time he was like 10 years old on, because he was in these elite hockey academies. And there are some players who will go to Rockhurst because Rockhurst has hockey teams. And there's a lot of talent hockey-wise out in KC area, the Metro and Eastern Jackson County.
Well, Bill, we also do some things for some charities, local charities in the area.
Yes.
We do shout-outs. There any local charities that are near and dear to you and your wife, Stacy's heart? And if you want to pitch those right now, go ahead and talk about them.
When I retired from the Examiner, Stacy and I created a scholarship for the overall student. It's not for an athlete. It's not for academic. It's not for anything really within the school walls, but it's just the complete student. And we started that last year, and my gosh, the boy and girl that won those just, I don't know how they did everything they did in high school, and they did so many things in the community. I'm involved with Hero Fund USA. It's called the charity that responds to first responders. They have an unbelievable budget all through donations, and they'll get communication gear for SWAT teams or for firefighters. They presented the new police dog to the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. And I'll go to all the check presentations, and the looks on these guys' faces, just God, somebody's, caring about us. They're not trying to run us over a car or something like that. And that's had a big impact on my life. And then the biggest single-day charity event in the state is an event called Tomstock. And a good friend of mine, Steve Rowley, his wife died of cancer several years ago. And Steve and Tom are both really, really successful businessmen. So they started Tomstock. And interestingly, it's invitation only. You have to make a sizable donation to get in. And they bring in all the top cover bands in the United States. Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, Motley Crue's a big one, Eagles bands. And Tom has enough acreage at his house over off Truman Road that he actually built a permanent stage, has better lighting than a lot of outdoor gigs I've been to. And it goes from like 3 till 12 p.m. And they have silent auctions, and it's amazing. And it's really fun to be associated with that.
All right, well, thank you. Bill, I appreciate seeing you, and spending some time and chatting and catching up on things with you. And
I got it before we close. What Brian McRae meant to my family, especially my 2 young boys, unbelievable. They would beg to go to Brian's house for Halloween because Brian gave out the big candy bars, not just the little ones, 4 or 5 years in a row.
And I'd stay out there, freeze with them too.
Oh, I know, man. Going up to every house. The opportunities that he gave them that nobody could ever receive unless they had a good friend like Brian. And I'll treasure your friendship forever, and you're a very, very special person in all our family's life.
Thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely, buddy.
all that you and Stacy have done, and the boys, and I enjoy spending time with you and watching the boys grow up to be good young men. And
I know
that's a lot of fun. I've known them since they were
I know, man.
that high.
I've got a picture of you and Sean's on your shoulders, and I know he's doing something crazy trying to get you to drop him. And he, Zach was a little bit older. Zach was an adult when he was a kid. Sean was crazy. I mean, Sean was off the charts, and there's nothing he loved more than rolling around on the floor or playing video games with B-Mac.
Well, they were a lot of fun to hang out with.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for listening to another part of Have a Day podcast, and my guest, Bill Althaus. And again, be sure to check us out on all our social media platforms, Instagram, our YouTube channel, at Have a Day Podcast. And until next time, I'm your host, Brian McRae. See you soon.